going on YouTube? This is your boy Black Label Chia coming to you with another video on this game Black Deck. So today we're just going to go over my top 3 factions. I was going to do top 5, but I'm going to do top 3. Let me know in the comments down below if you want me to do the top 5 factions. And then later on at a certain point I'm going to go over the top cards from each faction and maybe even the top cards within the game period. Without further ado, let's get right into it. So one of my favorite, this is going in order. One of my favorite factions is the Crypt faction. The reason being is because it has a lot of different things to help boost everybody in the faction. For example, not him either. You got the uncommons that boost other Crypt allies. You have this hero who is nothing but a buff for Crypt allies and cards with certain abilities. You have this guy who's another buffer for Crypt allies. This guy is another buffer for Crypt allies, and they have a bunch of things within their kits to make life a little easier for you. Like this guy, he's a resurrector. He puts resurrection on your allies and he buffs all other allies. Like it's just straight buffs all together, and I really like that. But for those reasons, that's why they are in my top 3 factions. The other faction that is in my top 3 is the Temple faction. One, because they have the best healers in the game by far. For example, my favorite healer and probably the best healer in the game is Priest. Why? Because it has a heals every 2 turns that can be booked to every turn at 35%. And he's the easiest out of all the healers to book, because all you have to use is just use copies of them. You can get a plethora of copies of them if you summon enough. And sometimes you get copies of them when you play in the campaign. Okay? So, by far my favorite healer out the game. And you have another guy who heals in this game is really good with Indan Van Slakta, but he's not better than Priest. That's just my favorite. That's my opinion, and I'm sticking to it. One of my favorite factions right here. And last but certainly not least is the Swamp faction. Why? Because it has the strongest debuffers and buffers in the game. The strongest. Like the strongest buffer in the game by far is Shaman. Easy to get, easy to book out. He's gonna buff your whole team, right? You have Witch, who, if she wasn't so strong, she wouldn't have got hit when they did one of the recent patches within the last few months. She was at, I think, 20 or 25% debuff. She got bumped down to 15%. It says a lot. You have a hero, El Hazra West Witch. It's another debuffer. Pretty strong debuffer himself. Right? He's with 300 points shy of Witch base max. But other than that, all in all, great debuffer. Then you have Ruin Sakura, who does a random debuff up to 4 targets or no limit at 35% when you book her out. Has a buff for other swamp allies. And this card is phenomenal. It's phenomenal. They also have this card, which is annoying. It's not a debuffer or anything like that, but it does help sustain you in the game, especially if you equip him right and you have the right cards around him. Slime is borderline broken. Then you have another guy who debuffs all enemies at 30% when he's booked out. Another 35% when that's booked out, and it has a transformation skill. And that transformation skill is for the opposing cards. So Again, those are my 3 favorite factions in the game: the Swamp faction, the Crypt, and the Temple faction. Let me know down in the comments below what are your favorite factions and why. Like, subscribe, holla back at your boy. Peace.